Hello everybody, this is Roger Hanson with The Strange, the Bizarre, the Unusual, I Like It. I am going to make do another short reading on a topic which kind of relates to what I've been talking about when it comes to Utu Shamash, Shamash, or Shamas, with just an S at the end instead of SH. It's whoever or whatever name you call that god, that Sumerian god. That's who I was talking about. And I make a point to say that because over time with the Sumerians, their folklore changed, and so did the names. And that's kind of what this video is about. I'm not even going to say the Sumerians, I'm going to say the Mesopotamians, because here's a good example of what I was saying in one of my earlier videos about first you had this Sumer, which was the actual Sumerians. Then you had Sargon, who was Akkadian, who actually invaded Mesopotamia, or no, the Sumerians in Sumer, and it became an Akkadian state. Then after that, you had other factions that started coming in that was attacking Sumerians until finally it became a Babylonian occupied state. And also you had the Assyrians, and that's where I'm going to show a little bit of evidence of what I'm talking about when it comes to the name changing and the way the gods and the goddesses changed over time. So when you're hearing stuff about Ishtar, you gotta also understand what time period was taking place while that story was going on or being told, so with that, let me go ahead with my reading. And today my reading is going to be about Ashtar, or Ashur, the god Ashur, not the city, even though the city, there was a city, a king, and a god, and the god is actually the king who ruled the city of Ashur. Now Ashur, also Assur, A-S-S-U-R, and then in cuneiform it's square, D-A-A, or A-S/S-U-R. He's a East Semitic god and the head of the Assyrian pantheon in Mesopotamian religion, worshipped mainly in the northern half of Mesopotamia and parts of northeast Syria and southeast Asia Minor, which constituted Old Assyria. He may have had a solar iconography, excuse my reading, my pronunciation. Ashur was a deified form of the city of Ashur, which dates from the mid-3rd millennium BC and was the capital of the Old Assyrian kingdom. As such, Ashur did not originally have a family, but as the cult came under southern Mesopotamian influence, he later came to be regarded as the Assyrian equivalence of Enlil, the chief god of Nippur, which was the most important god of the southern pantheon from the early 3rd millennium BC until Hammurabi founded an empire based in Babylon in the mid-18th century BC, after which Marduk replaced Enlil as the chief god in the south In the north, Ashur absorbed Enlil's wife Ninlil as the Assyrian goddess Melusu, and his son Ninurta as Zababa. This process began around the 14th century BC and continued down to the 7th century. During the various periods of Assyrian conquest, such as the Assyrian Empire of Shamshi-Adad I in 1813 from 1813 to 1750 BC, Middle Assyrian Empire 1391 to 1056 BC, and Neo-Assyrian Empire between 911 and 605 BC. Assyrian imperial propaganda proclaimed the supremacy of Ashur and declared that the conquered people had been abandoned by their own gods. When Assyria conquered Babylon in the Sargonid period, which was between the 8th and 7th century BC, and Sargonid period is the time of Sargon with the Akkadians, Assyrian scribes began to write the name of Ashur with the cuneiform signs square square, capital A-N, period, S-A-R, and 2. The ideograms for whole heaven in Sumerian, which may have been pronounced similarly to Ashur, or Assur, A-S-S-U-R, in Akkadian, the language of Assyria and Babylonia, which means that the Akkadian language was the language of both the Assyrians and the Babylonians. The intention seemed to have been to put Assur as the head of the Babylonian pantheon, where Anshar and his counterpart Kishar, whole earth, preceded even Enlil and Ninlil. Thus, in the Sargonid version of the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian national creation myth, Marduk, the chief god of Babylon, did not appear, and instead it was Ashur and Anshar who slays Tiamat, the chaos monster, and creates the world of humankind. Now, Marduk was the head of the pantheon for the Babylonians, and before Marduk it was Enlil and Enki and Ninlil, which was Enlil's wife, and Enki was Ea, and there was a whole pantheon of gods, and they became lesser gods, and they were even pushed down into the underworld as being so less than Marduk that they were insignificant. Now they were a part of the underworld, and they had nothing to do with all of the natural things that happened up above, you know. That's basically what it resulted in. Okay. Some scholars have claimed that Anshar was represented as the winged sun that appeared frequently in Assyrian iconography. Many Assyrian kings had names that included the name Ashur, including above all Ashur Uballit the first, Ashur Nasrpal, Ashur Nasrpal, Ashur Hadan, Ashur Ahadina, and Ashur Banipal. Epithets include Belu Rabu, which is great lord, Ab Ilani, father of gods, or Liani, or Ab Ilani, father of gods, Sadu Rabu, great mountain, and Il-Asarai, god of Ashur. The symbols of Ashur include a winged disc with horns enclosing 4 circles revolving around the middle circle. Rippling rays fall down from either side of the disc. A circle or wheel suspended from wings and enclosing a warrior drawing his bow to discharge an arrow. The same circle, the warrior bow, however, is carried in his left hand while the right hand is lifted as if to bless his worshippers. And for me, I personally see an evolution going on from Utu Shamash into Assyrian beliefs, which later also becomes a part of the whole Zoroastrian beliefs. And that's the one thing that I notice whenever I come across all of this stuff. There's shocking resemblances when it comes to Utu, and it just seems amazing that there's very little about him, and that's because they haven't really found much, but you can see the shocking resemblances. You can even see it in a lot of the Indo-European pagan beliefs as well, with their sun worshipping. Alright. An Assyrian standard, which probably represents the world column, has the disc mounted on a bull's head with horns. The upper part of the disc is occupied by a warrior whose head part of his bow and the point of his arrow protrude from the circle. The rippling water rays are V-shaped, and 2 bulls treading river-like rays occupy the divisions thus formed. There are also 2 heads, a lion and a man's, with gaping mouths, which may symbolize tempest and destroying powers of the sun of the sources of the Tigris and Euphrates. Jastrow regards the winged disc as the pure and more genuine symbol of Ashur as a solar deity. He calls it a sun disc that protruding rays, and says, to this symbol the warrior with the bow and the arrow was added, a despiritualization that reflects the martial spirit of the Assyrian Empire. Now with me, when I hear about the lion's head and about there are 2 heads, a lion's and a man's head with gaping mouths. The lion represents Utu Shamash to me, okay, and that's just evident that that's what Utu Shamash represents. And like with the wings, okay, the symbol, the winged disc, now that's also, you can see it in a lot of these beliefs that are rampant in that area, from the Persians to the Sumerians, all the way over into, a lot of areas that were occupied by Indo-Europeans during that time, in Iran and other areas right there. A lot of people have issues about that and don't believe in it, but I'm one of those who really do believe that that area was actually ruled by Caucasian Indo-Europeans who did invade India and brought Hinduism and Buddhism to the region. And I'm sorry, but Buddha was a white man. The oldest depictions of Buddha are of a white man that was drawn by Indo-Europeans during the time period that India is trying to reject the idea that they were invaded by the Indo-Europeans that invaded them and gave them the culture that they have today. You know, it's just ridiculous, and people need to wise up and stop being prejudiced. You know, that's all I have to say on that subject. It's just, it hinders knowledge, it hinders progress, you know, and it's just like I said with this winged creature. You know, they always show a bird with wings, and the disc has something to do with sunlight. You know, there's always a sun god that's a disc, just like you have Ra, you have Ashur, and you have Utu Shamash. You know, and this is a timeline. It's just spelling it right out to you, but still, or Zoroastrianism too, if you really look at it. But the signs are right in front of everybody's face, and nobody wants to look at it. You know. It's really ridiculous. But anyhow, that is my video. I went over a little bit longer than what I wanted to. I wanted to keep it as a short video, but I just wanted to share this to as kind of like something that helps sums up on something that I've been noticing. Ashur stuck out to me when I was doing my video on Children of Lamech. Whenever the Hermetics were talking about that, that's very interesting. It was a different spelling. It was Aasher, I believe, but they were referring to Egypt. And in the readings that I was discussing, one of the critics said that it's not really Egypt. It's Assyria, or it could be the other way around. I'll have to go back over and check that out again, but it stuck out to me. So, because I remembered stories of Ashur and the god of Ashur, and the city itself, you know, in Nineveh was mentioned, and I'm very much interested in Nineveh too. They said that the Assyrians used to take the skin of their enemies, kings and leaders, warlords, whatever, and they would actually take them there, and they would either imprison them, or they would fillet their skin and stick it up on the walls of Nineveh in order to show people, you don't mess with us, you know, kind of thing. Well, that's all I've got. If you guys like this video, you know, please make comments below in the comment section. Give feedback. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, share, make comments. Love to hear what you have to say. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.